How you doing? Cheers for checking out this video. I just want to quickly say that the lesson you're about to watch is actually taken from a much larger course that you can access by clicking the link in the description. I'm going to have plenty of free stuff floating around on YouTube, so if you like what you see, please think about giving us a like and a subscribe. If you want to delve a bit further, then check those links in the description. Let's jump into the video.
You've probably noticed that you're starting to get these lines going across the tips of your fingers from where you've been pressing down on the strings, and they're probably hurting quite a bit. But I promise you that does get easier. You start to build calluses on the tips of your fingers, which allows you to apply more pressure and play for longer, and that pain will start to reduce. It's just something you have to push through, but little and often practice will really help with that. Now we've made progress with those stretching exercises and the picking pieces, we're going to start to look at chords on the guitar. It's good to remind ourselves at this point that we still want to be nice and loose, those loose shoulders, not too hunched over, and when we're fretting these chords, we're going to still concentrate on having our fingers tucked nice and closely to the frets. So when you've got two or more notes being played at the same time, that's when we're starting to form a chord. Think back to the chord boxes we looked at earlier and have a little bit of a refresh if you need to. They're also going to appear on the screen while we're talking through that chord, so you've got a diagram, visual reference, as well as me placing my fingers on the guitar and demonstrating that chord. The first one we're going to look at is E minor. And you're going to hear major and minor mentioned quite a lot throughout these chord lessons, and we'll go into the difference between them a little bit later on. But generally speaking, the minor chords have a bit of a sadder sound to them. The major chords are a lot happier. This first one, E minor, has a lot of open strings being played. That's why it's a nice introductory chord to get us up and running. We only need to use two fingers, our index and our second finger, and they are going to be placed both on the second fret. The first finger goes onto the second fret of the A string, and your second finger goes onto the second fret of the D string, like so. So as you can see, they're placed nice and closely up to the second fret. Our first finger has to go a little bit further back, but that's okay because it's still close enough to get that clear sound. Any further back, we start to get a horrible buzz. And if that second finger went any further up, we'd get that horrible dead sound as well, which we don't want. With both those fingers in place, we just check that they're sounding nice and clear. Cool. And then we want to check that our open string above is nice and clear. Sometimes if your first finger is pressed too far up away from the A string, it will catch that E string. And that's when you're going to get, again, that scratchy, horrible, buzzy sound, which we don't want. We want to make sure that we're really using the tips of our fingers to press down on these strings. And remember that kind of arch that we spoke about, the bend in the knuckle? We want to make sure that's in place as well, so that we've got that nice twist. And it takes us away from being too flat across the strings below, which will cause that dead sound. By being nice and pronounced on the tips of our fingers, we allow the strings around the notes that are fretted to still ring nice and clear. So let's go from the lowest string, work our way through, and make sure that every string is sounding nice and clear. Lovely. Now if my second finger was laying too flat, didn't have enough bend in the knuckle, we'd end up with something like this. We don't want that dead sound, so I just have to bring my second finger up slightly, reintroduce that bend, and the G is able to come through nice and clear, and so are the B and the E. Once you've checked each of those strings individually, everything's ringing nice and clear, we then want to strum all of the strings together. We get that lovely full E minor chord. It's quite a haunting chord, quite a bit of intrigue to it. I like that. Now make sure when you're strumming that chord as well, we remember what we spoke about really early on with the pick. We're not showing too much of the pick because we'd lose the control. And we're not showing too little because then we'd struggle to get the strings. We're showing just enough so that it comes out from the index finger, thumb over the top, and we strum through that middle of the guitar. And try to make sure here, now that we're working more on strumming, that the wrist of whatever hand you're using to strum, if you're left or right-handed, is nice and loose as well. Much like what we spoke with the shoulders, not too tense, your whole body's not too tight. The wrist is the same. We want to make sure that that is nice and loose. So as we start to introduce strumming patterns, but not too rigid, really digging into the guitar, we're getting a nice, gentle strum, a nice loose feel to what we're playing. And that is your E minor chord. A bit like with the stretching exercise we did a little while ago, where we was taking our finger off and putting it back on the guitar to get used to that position behind the fret. Try that with your chords as well. Completely relax your hand and then get yourself back into that position so you have to form that E minor. It's a really good way of getting that muscle memory going on, that repetition. Great way to learn. And also be conscious of where your thumb's placed. Again, you don't want to be too tight and bunched up and sort of crunched around that guitar. It removes that flexibility and prevents us from hearing those open strings that we need in this chord. So our thumb can come down away from that E string and start to slide down the back of the neck. You can just see there how I come down and I've got this nice gap here from my wrist up to my thumb and first and second finger. I'm not too tight, not too close. We let that hang nice and loose and we can strum through that chord. And that is your first chord. Nice and straightforward to get us up and running. Let's move on to the next one.
Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please think about giving us a little like and a subscribe. And if you want to go further, remember you can hit those links in the description and you'll get access to the full courses. I hope you're feeling confident and creative, and I'll hopefully see you in one of the larger courses one day. Or for now, just have a little scout around on the YouTube channel and see what else you can find. Take care.